This week, my coastal food trails have brought me to County Waterford, and I'll be visiting the seaside towns of Dunmore East, Tramore, and the historic city of Waterford itself. County Waterford has a rich history when it comes to food and drink. The city itself is the oldest in Ireland, and in medieval times, it was a major international wine port, importing huge amounts of wine from France, Spain, and Portugal. The food scene in Waterford is thriving, and I'm looking forward to meeting some local chefs, bakers and growers. But first, I want to show you a very famous view. A long time ago, in the days before smartphones, we used to send holiday postcards, and people of a certain age will remember the John Hind postcards. This is one of them, showing the harbour at Dunmore East. The little boy in the postcard now owns the Bay Cafe just across the road.
It's a long time ago now. I was probably about 3 or 4 at that time.
Because you're from here, aren't you?
I'm from Waterford City, but we used to come out here for summer holidays to caravans down the road here, opposite that photograph. And then my parents subsequently built a house down there in a quarry which was bought by my grandfather for 50 quid.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And this is what it looks like here.
It's the same one, yeah.
Isn't
That's
that
just a blow-up of it, yeah.
And of course you have the wee boat in your hand and all.
I've got the boat. That was actually a little fire engine. You press the funnel and the water squirted out the bow.
John Hind was a pioneer in colored photography and probably the most successful and prolific postcard publisher in the world. And he actually was British, grew up in Somerset, and at a very early age became a photographer. And then during the war, during the Blitz in London, where we were stationed, he was the only one doing colored photography. After the war, he put down his camera and went into the circus. And then in 1955, he moved to Ireland because he wanted to start his own circus, the John Hind Circus Show in 1955.
God.
And it lasted a year. It didn't really get off the ground. So he fell back on his photography. And he hit it just about the right time because in 1956, when he started John Hind Company, tourism in Ireland was just coming up because of the transatlantic flight from the States. They would stop in Shannon, and he put his first postcards at Shannon Airport in 1956. I think he started with 6 postcards. And within 10 years, he went from 6 postcards of Ireland to 300.
Wow. 300?
Yeah, 300.
All over the country, was it?
All over the country, yes. John Hind had a reputation of adding some color into his images. He would send these postcards down to a studio in Italy who would put the colors in where he suggested. He'd often take a white jumper and make it red, or a white car and make it yellow, to give it sort of the pop. And in this particular shot, which I think is probably his most famous,
Okay.
it's taken up in Connemara. And the story goes that he came across these 2 children, and she was wearing just a white jumper and not very colorful. And he asked her, he says, would you mind terribly to go back and put something a little more colorful on? And she came back with this outfit.
And you have produced 2 books.
I've done 2 books. One, my first book was Return to Sender, and then I followed that up with In Hindsight.
Tell me about it, it's beautiful.
So on the left is the original John Hind postcard, and then I went back and tried to set up the exact same location that John Hind took his shot. So I did a lot of research trying to track down which images I could take that I would have access to, where I wouldn't be obscured by a tree or a building or what have you. I didn't doctor any of the photographs like John Hind did because he had a tendency to saturate and intensify his colors.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, it's so nice to meet you both.
Thank you
so much. Very interesting
Thank
story.
Good to meet you as well.
And it's lovely to be here. Thank you again. I've come to Tramore to visit Metze, a deli and cafe specialising in Middle Eastern food, run by Devere Nussery and his wife Nicola. The word Metze means small dishes, served together to make a whole meal. The cafe serves Metze and other dishes too.
I'm going to make you 2 things. One will be shakshuka, and the other one will be, it's called ega, which is a type of an Egyptian frittata.
Okay.
Yeah? Should we get into it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to start off with the shakshuka, yeah?
And these are both on your menu here in the cafe.
Exactly, on a regular basis. The shakshuka, one of the most popular dishes that we will have.
You know, when you get lovely Irish tomatoes, they're beautiful, aren't they?
They are absolutely amazing. We have our pan heating. In the meantime, I'm going to use 1 medium spice chili.
Do you take the seeds out or anything?
I don't. There's no need because they're medium spiced. Now, I find that the Irish love their spiciness. Like my father-in-law. He'll be all into his spices.
Now, you got a beautiful menu here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
So talk me through the menu that's on offer here in the cafe.
We obviously make our falafels. I think that's one of the best. We have a lot of salads. We have a lot of dips.
Okay.
I have the red pepper in.
Lovely.
I'm going to put now our tomatoes, the Grandstown tomatoes that we tried.
So you just quartered them, have you?
I just quartered them. I like to have them a little bit chunky. So we're going to put in our spices, yeah? Going to start with a teaspoon of sea salt.
All right.
I'm going to put 2 cloves, crushed cloves
of garlic.
Of
Finely crushed, okay.
1 teaspoon of black pepper. And we're going to put a tablespoon of hawaiiage.
What is that? I've never heard of that.
So hawaiiage will be one of the spices we make here in Meze. We're going to leave the shakshuka to slowly cook now.
Okay.
In the meantime, we can make our ega. We'll start off with some onions. We have to start with some onions.
And how many eggs do you want?
We want 3 eggs into here,
These are your
please.
quality assured egg. I'll put 3 in there.
I'm going to chop some parsley in there. I like this ega frittata, call it, to be very herby.
Yes.
Loads of spices.
Okay.
Not necessarily spicy.
Yes.
It shouldn't be spicy.
So it's aromatic.
But I love, exactly. We're going to put a teaspoon of the cumin. We're going to put half a teaspoon of salt and about a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Mix all that together. Yes. And we'll just put it right in there.
On top of the onions.
Exactly. So we have the ega in. I'll take my lid. We'll close that up so we can cook that, and to let the ega puff up a little bit. We're going to flip it shortly, yeah? But in the meantime, we'll go back to the shakshuka and check our tomatoes. They're nice and broken down. So we'll take our eggs again.
Yeah, here we go.
And we'll break, what can we put in there? I would say we can put easily 4 of them in there.
Absolutely. Love the way you do that.
Let's check our ega, and you can see it's ready to be flipped.
It's kind of puffed up, isn't it?
Exactly. So we'll flip it off.
Yeah. Gorgeous.
And we can turn it off, cover it for the last bit to cook. And ready to rock and roll.
Ready to rock and roll. Super.
Let's see how this looks. Yeah. Here we want it a little bit soft, a little bit puffy, yet cooked. So on this side, you can see it's a little bit different than what we had before. Thank you,
Look
Neven.
at that. Wow.
That's
love all the herbs and the onion.
So we have our ega ready, and let's check on our shakshuka, see how it's going. And I think we're good. I think we're good to go. We have that, and of course we have to have some meze to go along with those dishes.
Super.
And we'll bring that in here. And Neven, I think we're ready to eat.
Well, I go for this one here.
You go for whatever you want, and I'll follow you.
Just go right in. Those lovely tomatoes.
Exactly.
Wow.
But I like that.
I love that.
Medium kind of heat.
Oh my God, it's so tasty. It's absolutely such a credit to you both what you've achieved here. I can see why so many people travel to come here. What an amazing success.
Thank you, Neven.
Thank you so much.
It's great coming from you.
Oh no, it's just
Thank you very
food.
much.
Wow, I love it. I'm going for more. Denise Dara was a chef for 10 years before deciding to open up her own food truck in 2022. She takes the truck to a couple of places in County Waterford, and today she's in Tramore. As the name Little Catch suggests, Denise serves seafood, and she keeps it simple by having just 3 items on the menu each day.
I'm going to show you my most popular item, which is a lobster roll. So I'm going to show you how to make that.
Lovely. Okay. So what bread are you?
So I'm using a lovely brioche roll. And then I'm going to use some peppery rocket. So now I have my lobster tail.
So you've already cooked that?
Yes, I cooked this morning. So I like to mix the lobster tail with some lobster claw. Gives some lovely texture. So this is my lemon and herb mayonnaise. So it's just a simple mayo. I have some lemon zest and I have some chives, tarragon, parsley.
Lovely. Tarragon is a great herb with lobster, isn't it?
Yeah, it's delicious.
And could you do this with prawns or crab or other shellfish?
Yeah, you could also use crab, prawns. You could use a little bit of crayfish.
Nice. That looks so good. I love the big chunks of lobster.
Delicious.
Yum. Wow.
Okay.
So that's what a customer gets?
Yeah, that's it. Your
Beautiful.
lobster roll.
Wow.
Okay.
And the rocket gives lovely pepperness to it too.
Yeah.
And then the sweet brioche, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, delicious
Okay.
with it. Okay.
So that's one done.
That's it.
What's next?
Now I'm going to show you my arancini balls.
Okay.
So I have some smoked haddock here.
Beautiful.
Okay.
So have you that cooked already?
Yes, I have it cooked. I poached this in a little bit of milk. So this is my arancini rice. This is my risotto rice. This is made with fish stock. I have some lemon zest. I have mixed herbs. I have chives. I have tarragon. I have parsley. And yeah, just a little bit of salt and pepper as well. Just going to flake some of this smoked haddock through.
So that's obviously
Okay.
pin boned and all, and you just
That's
flake in nice
pin
big
boned,
chunks.
yeah. So I'm just going to
And just shape them by hand.
Yeah,
that's
just
it.
shape them by hand. Okay, so
Roll them
there's
like a
one.
snowball.
There we go.
So just plain flour,
Plain flour,
Yeah.
egg wash,
Yeah.
and panko breadcrumbs.
and then just your dry breadcrumbs in
Okay,
there.
there we-
Would this be something that you'd have done ahead? You know, you'd have a
This
batch
is something
of them.
I prepare, yeah,
Yeah.
ahead of time.
So how long do you cook them for?
So these will roughly take about 3 to 4 minutes
Okay.
until they're nice and golden brown, okay?
Okay.
They're looking great.
They look
nice
lovely
and
golden
golden.
brown, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to take some of this roasted tomato sauce
They look great. Even the crispness of them, you can hear them.
and some Parmesan cheese on top.
Just a little bit on top.
Yeah, Neven,
Wow.
you have a taste and let me know what you
Certainly
think.
will. So would this be popular in your menu?
Yeah, I put this on from time to time, but when it's on, it flies out.
I love the lemon in it.
Yeah, you really get the zest come through.
I love smoked haddock in here.
Anything smoked fish, you know, through an arancini is delicious.
Denise, I think it's amazing what you've done. You followed your dream.
Thank you.
Beautiful food truck. Focus on the very best of Irish seafood. Well done to you.
That's great. Thank you.
Delicious.
Thanks very
Thank you
much,
so
Anne.
much.
Thank you.
There are less than 10 commercial tomato growers in Ireland, and this is one of them, Grantstown Tomatoes in County Waterford. These high-tech glass houses cover 2.5 acres, and up to 8 tonnes of tomatoes are handpicked each week at the height of the season.
Well, Neven, here you are. This is one of our glass houses here in the sunny southeast in Ballygunner in September. It's probably about 25 degrees in here today.
It's warm.
Glorious, yeah, glorious. Plants are really happy. Everything is just on autopilot on a day like this, you know.
God, they're always so impressive.
Yeah,
To
but
come into something like this.
this is Sunstream Tomatoes. You know, we grow 24,000 tomato plants in this house.
And how long have you been growing tomatoes?
So I suppose I'm a second generation tomato grower. My father bought this business in 1978.
Okay.
We kind of grow a selection of specialty types, and that's really what the customer is looking for now. They're looking for tomatoes with very good taste. For anybody who grows them at home, they don't look a whole lot different to the tomato grown in the glasshouse out the back garden or in a tunnel. It's just that we give them absolutely optimum growing conditions.
So tell me about the season of the tomatoes. When do you get them as a plant, or how does it work?
So the plant it comes to us in these little cubes. They arrive at us just before Christmas, the 21st of December. So when they arrived at us, they're probably about a foot tall.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have any flower on them. They wouldn't have any sign of a tomato. So we space them out onto these grow bags. And from there, as the days get longer and the sunshine increases, everything speeds up. And, you know, with the plants getting the optimum growing conditions, they can go like Formula One cars.
So what stage are these tomatoes at here, David?
So this is, as you can see, the tomatoes are grown on the vine in Neven. And these tomatoes here are just about, they wouldn't have been good enough to harvest today, but by Monday they will be all fully ripe and delivering to supermarkets by midweek. So you'll see as the progression goes up, you can see that...
Yeah, they're very green.
Exactly, and they're just beginning to turn a little bit orange on the top, so they'll be the next vine for harvesting on this plant. That'll probably happen maybe towards the end of next week. And then you see the next one up they're all green, so they're going to be the following week. So we kind of be working on the basis of if we could harvest 1 truss per week, we'd be quite happy. We actually harvest the emissions from our gas boiler. So that means that what's in this tube at the minute is coming directly from the back of our boiler, and it contains carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide is one of the main pillars of photosynthesis with any plant. So the more carbon dioxide we can introduce into the glasshouse, the more productivity we can get from the plants, the faster they'll grow, and we'll get the optimum sized tomatoes. So while we are using the fossil fuel to heat the glasshouse, we are harvesting the carbon dioxide emissions. So that really kind of adds to the sustainability picture that we're trying to develop with glasshouse growing.
And David, what about water?
So water is obviously a crucial factor because tomatoes are 99.5% water, you know, so we use a lot of water, but we're very conscious of sustainable use of water. So over the 2.5 acres of glasshouse that we have here, we harvest all the rainwater. So that means that we're virtually self-sustainable in rainwater use, and that we use that to water the crops. So we're at the top of, this is the crop canopy, Neven. So this is essentially the future of our crop. So in 8 weeks' time, these flowers will be red tomatoes.
And it feels warmer up here.
Yeah, there's no shade up here because we want the most sunlight we can get to come into the plants as possible. And more light equals more photosynthesis, and that means more plant material and potentially more tomatoes.
And I've seen loads of bees going around.
So our bumblebees are our best friends in here. He comes along and pollinates the flower. So basically he comes, he clamps onto the flower and he extracts pollen. We're kind of tricking them a little bit because bees by their nature want to go and make honey.
Yeah.
But there's no nectar in a tomato flower. So in replace of nectar, we give them a sugary solution back in the hive, and that's what sustains them for their life. But without them, we will not get tomatoes. They pollinate the flowers, and I think the stat is that upwards than 80% of the food produced on our planet requires pollination.
Incredible.
So that's why bumblebees are our best friends and probably the planet's best friends, because without them, we don't have much of a future.
Wow. Oh, this looks great.
Yeah, so this is a kind of a selection of what we grow here in Neven. So we have about 10 varieties in total. This is a baby plum. It's one of our, very, very good tasting ones. So if you want to have a go with that.
I'd love to. And would this be perfect, like if you wanted to roast on the vine?
Yeah, perfect for
versatile, is it?
For the vine, snacking.
It's delicious. Lovely bit of texture, but sweet.
Yeah.
And David, one question. Fridge or no fridge for tomatoes?
Yeah, well, that's the big question about tomatoes, and then but tomatoes really should be stored at room temperature to get the optimum taste and intensity of a tomato.
David, thank you so much for having me here, and I've learned so much about your passion for growing and your love for tomatoes. Well done.
You're welcome, Neven. It's always great to have you around the place.
Peter Everett is one of my favourite chefs. I love his food, and I'm delighted to come to his restaurant here in Waterford City. Everett's offers really good modern Irish cooking, served in the atmospheric surroundings of the remains of a 15th century house.
Well, today we're going to do a little dessert we have on in the restaurant at the minute. So it's a hazelnut bostock with some beautiful damsons from Mrs. Halley, a local woman. And we're going to serve that with a meadow sweet ice cream.
And what does a bostock mean?
It is basically brioche with frangipan, which is a mix of normally ground almonds, butter and egg and a little bit of icing sugar. I'm using hazelnuts for that.
Brilliant.
And then that's baked.
That sounds delicious. So this is your brioche here, is it?
Yes, it is indeed. I suppose I always like the idea of bread and butter pudding, but for a restaurant, it can be a little bit heavy. So I like the idea of this. It's maybe a little bit more refined.
And I love the idea of poaching the damsons. You said
they're beautiful. These are from Newra, as I said, from a lady called Mairead Halley, who grows old-fashioned, beautiful Irish fruit. These are in perfect condition, and they're just so lovely. She delivers them herself. She delivered them here this morning.
Brilliant. So what's the first thing you're going to do?
So I'm going to slice the brioche.
So this is obviously you make this in-house here?
Yeah, we do indeed. Yeah. So this needs to be cool so it can be sliced well. I'm going to cut 2 little circles out of the brioche. Yeah. And then, so I want this to be nice and moist as well after it's baked. So we have a little bit of vanilla syrup here.
Oh, you can see the vanilla seeds?
Yeah, so that's literally just equal quantities of sugar, water with the boiled up vanilla pod. I'm not using loads of it. It's just going to give a little bit of moisture.
You're just kind of patting that over, look at that.
So I put the vanilla syrup on that. I'm going to put some of my hazelnut frangipan on now.
So how have you made this now? There's a lovely bit of texture, look at it.
It's a really simple mixture. It's basically just ground hazelnuts, butter, sugar and egg.
Gorgeous.
So I'm going to start off putting a little bit of this in the middle. Then I'm going to sandwich that in like that. So next then I'm going to get some more of the frangipan around the outside. So I have a nice even layer of that around now. I'm just going to roll this. I've toasted a few hazelnuts. Yeah. And I've crushed them up kind of lightly so they still have a little bit of texture. And just a little more of the frangipan then.
On top.
So that's our Bostock ready for the oven. It doesn't need too long, just needs to toast up. It takes about 6-7 minutes at about 180 degrees.
Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you.
Straight in. Next up after that, we're on to our lovely damsons.
Lovely.
So when the fruit is this ripe, this is really perfectly ripe. It's totally easy to take the stones out. I'm just literally running my knife through it and the stone comes out that easy.
That's so simple.
Yeah, we're going to poach these in a nice syrup. Again, it's 50-50 water and sugar. What we do in the restaurant is we keep yesterday's poaching liquid. So this was our plums from yesterday. We're poached in this and we're just keeping it so it has added a little bit of flavour.
That's beautiful.
That's coming up to the boil. I'm going to pop the plums then straight into the liquid.
And I suppose when they're super ripe, they don't take too long to poach.
Really, really fast.
Yeah.
This will literally take 3 or 4 minutes to cook, just till they're barely cooked.
So that's them ready now?
Yep. I'm going to just pick some of them out. I'm going to pick the slightly more firm ones out and I'm going to leave those to one side.
So you just know by looking at them?
Yeah, those ones will be lovely for the puree. They're
Lovely.
starting to break. And then literally it's a very simple puree. I'm just going to put my plums straight in. I'm going to keep a little bit of the juice there just to allow them to puree. So that's our puree then. So as I said, I'm going to pass that through a sieve to make it nice and smooth. I'm going to leave it cool down. After that then I'm going to put it in a squeezy bottle ready to
Good
plate
old
up.
squeezy bottle. Brilliant. So we're ready to plate up, are we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here are my little damsons that I've poached and I peeled those.
Look at that.
Check my Bostock, that should be ready. So you see it's just coloured up nice and gently. It's
Yeah.
not too brown, obviously we don't
Yeah.
want to burn the nuts on it. The other element then I have to finish the dish is the meadow sweet ice cream.
And this is the meadow sweet here. So how do you make a meadow sweet ice cream? Because it's very distinctive smell, isn't it, the flavour?
it's really particular.
And the flour you use, is it?
The whole
the
lot of that
whole lot.
we put into the syrup and then after a couple of days we leave it in the syrup
Yeah.
and then after a couple of days we strain that out so we just have a flavoured syrup.
Because I'm sure lots of people, walking around the country will be very,
Yeah, and you
familiar,
might
that's the word.
You might recognise the smell even if you didn't know what it was.
So you've infused that in for your ice cream.
Yeah. So
That's your
it's
puree.
a nice bit of the puree. It's good to eat. I'm just going to top that with a damson. Then I cut the Bostock
Yes.
just so it's
Oh, brilliant. It sits up.
so it sits up nicely.
Gorgeous.
And then we'll just give a nice quenelle of ice cream, and that is it.
That's beautiful.
So
Wow.
that's that.
Peter, it looks so clean. It's a shame to touch it. It's beautiful. Just want to see this here. It's the brioche and the lovely layers. I love the element of the hot and cold. That's so good.
Good.
Lovely acidity and freshness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the texture of the nuts. Not very different,
Good.
but beautiful.
Simple couple of flavours together. Hopefully it
This
comes
is
through.
gorgeous. Peter, thanks a million. Great to be here at long last. Been trying to get you on the shows over the years, so it's great to see you. And listen, you're doing amazing work. Well done.
Great to be here. Thank you very much.
Gentlemen, good to see you. Next time on my coastal food trails, I'll be exploring County Sligo, starting with a Mexican dish at Hooked Restaurant and then learning how to make fresh ravioli and pasta fresca. I'll visit Caro Coffee, a roastery located on a farm which has been in Andrew's family for 5 generations. And at Driftwood Smokehouse Restaurant in Ross's Point, there's some delicious smoked meat to try. I hope you'll join me.